We're going to start our meeting. I sent out the agenda electronically. So if you guys want to pull that up and we all can follow along. All right. First up, let's confirm attendance, make sure we have a quorum. Ms. Clear, who is the chair, is out tonight because she is traveling. Safe travels to her and enjoy your time. Let's see, and it's myself, Vice Chair Latanya Chichester, Kathy Curitan is present, Mary Jo is present, not present. We have a quorum, so we're going to get started. Let's confirm the agenda. Everyone have it?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. And we are going to, did I send out the previous minute meeting? No, I'm waiting for Ms. Clear to come back so she can approve the February and March minutes. But if I sent them to you, please review them. And public comment. We have no one here. Anybody want to speak as a citizen? No? Okay. Let's move to the AI update from Ms. Dukestein.
I'm just gonna wait to make sure it's working.
Okay.
It's not. Wait a minute. Well, you get the one slide, and then I'll talk through the others. So, the reason that I opted to bring this through in rules and public policy is because there really should be some governance around how AI is used. I know that there are many platforms. I can tell in some of the communications that AI is being used. And so I know that a lot of judgment comes with AI, and I did not come to judge. I came to only inform. So a lot of people will say that AI stands for artificial intelligence, but I think a better term for it is augmented intelligence. And the goal for council is to use it in a way that enhances decision-making and, if you will, writing. So the thing that prompted me to have a conversation about this is I recently attended a conference where multiple cities across the United States have been receiving, specifically with their council groups, fines of $20,000 and above because they are plugging in things in legislation, in the legislative space, and they're reproducing legislation. And that has gone before judges and magistrates, and they don't like it, and they're fining for it. So I want to make sure that we understand the stipulations around using it so that we can use it in a way that is governed and appropriate. I'm not trying to frown upon using it. I'm just trying to educate so that we can use it within parameters that keep our city safe. So, the focus is on using it responsibly and understanding a platform.
Are you advancing slides, Carol?
I am advancing slides, but the television is frozen, so I'm going to talk you through, and then I can send it out later since the presentation is frozen.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Curitan?
Ms. Dukestein, can you actually send us the deck while we're here in this meeting since you're talking through the deck? That way we can follow
Yeah,
along. Thanks.
I could do that.
Do you want me to try to unfreeze the TV?
Nah,
Okay.
that TV has a mind of its own.
All I had was turn it off, turn it on anyway. That's my go-to for fixing anything.
Actually, just try unplugging it, plugging it back into your laptop.
The big one, somebody removed this cord from it, and because, and I can't get it back in there, I'm not tall enough, and I keep asking. Other words, it hasn't happened yet. So let's see. Okay, I was in the middle of sending it to you, so now my computer is stuck there. But I'll continue to talk as we go through. So I wanted to kind of give you some awareness. Here we go. Let's see if this works. Nope. Here we go. Yay. Here we are. Okay, so AI stands for augmented intelligence. Some of this I already kind of went through, and honestly, I put this together really quickly before I knew I was going to talk to you all about it. And again, this isn't a conversation or a projection of not using it. It's just using it responsibly. So I put a lot of information in here around enhancing human capability for better outcomes, because I do think that it is resourceful for having better outcomes, and it helps to streamline tasks depending on how you use it, improve efficiencies, and support employees and counsel. So the focus is responsible use and data protection and an ethical oversight. So here's where this part applies to you heavily. The ethical oversight is when you go to put in parameters around legislation that is frowned upon in municipal, official court spaces. And so I know a couple of times I've seen legislation come through and it's been AI'd. Again, I'm not frowning upon it. I'm saying if you're going to use that as a baseline, you need to send that through bill. I would suggest that we not even do that, that we just send the legislation and the parameters of what we want to bill and let bill formulate the legislation. It's just too risky. It's a very hot topic right now. A lot of, like I said, municipalities are getting some punitive responses back to sending it through the court systems like that. AI does not replace a human attorney. So it just simply is a tool it can be used as a tool for writing. And then the data quality and oversight and continuous evolution. So it's kind of new being used in this space. So the continuous evolution and oversight is sometimes people upload specific data to it, and ChatGPT specifically, it has no protective barriers on it. So when you're using and you're adding data, you're adding names, you're adding numbers, that data is being used on a broad scale. So Copilot is one that is used, and it has protections around it. It is not as developed as ChatGPT and some of the others. Claude is another one. So I don't have the governance over you all to say, don't do this, don't do this. What I am asking is that if you have numbers, if you have names, if you have specific situations that are intimate to the city, that you not upload that information and kind of filter through it on your own, and then or ask it something very general, because ChatGPT specifically saves everything and uses that data at large. We are experiencing right now a lot of data breaches. And you all know that because of the different emails that you're getting. So if your computer is smart, if you are putting information into ChatGPT, copying it over to an email, and then taking email and putting it into ChatGPT or Claude or Copilot and going back and forth, those databases are able to pick up that you're using email, and they can start sending email to your actual email base, and that is not something that we want to happen. It is yielded lots of I will not say that the leak is due to AI, but it is one of the spaces that it could be. Tom is looking into it right now. I don't want to have him dig into what people are doing on their devices. I just want to create protections so that as we pass information back and forth, that we are in a secured space. So if I could professionally make a recommendation, I would say use Copilot over GPT, because GPT is just so public, and it's free. So when you have free tools, a lot of people use them, and it leaves us very vulnerable. So again, this slide is about tools, knowledge, and governance. Right now, we're in the space of you guys governing yourselves, but you're just as much at risk within the city to being able to expose us as any of the employees. I will tell you that we have an internal employee policy that covers AI and AI usage. When we rolled out the new handbook in 2026, there was a build-in for that, and just making sure that the staff is fully aware of the types of things that they should and should not be putting into ChatGPT or augmented intelligence, so that we can just use it responsibly. I think that's where I'll land with you all. My suggestion is that you put some rules in your council rules around usage, so that if and when you do have someone using it and there is a data breach, we have something to sustain us. So, for example, our insurance will cover us if we have data breaches, but if we have not had responsible use, then they will not cover us. They will not cover the exposed. So that kind of leads right into one of the pieces of legislation that's on discussion tonight. Do you mind if I go to that, Madam
Yes.
Chair? And so it's the one titled, "An Ordinance Establish a Municipal Policy Prohibiting the Payment of Cyber Ransom Demands." I know that you all had the legislation, so you should have been able to read that even if you did not have the agenda. And so if you've read through it, there's a lot of cyber extortion schemes going on for municipalities. Gulf Manor fell prey to one. Cities around Columbus and Columbus fell prey to one, and then Lima in between there. And so what they do is they ask you to give money to release your information. Sometimes it's financial information. And so some of the concerns spinning around this is that individuals, constituents are concerned from the tax dollar standpoint to pay ransoms. Most residents and constituents, citizens, do not want to pay ransoms. Municipalities get desperate to gain their information back and to get back under control and governance with their information. So they become willing. And so this legislation kind of protects them from making those choices in spite of it. It's also something that they're being asked for at the state level. So it's governed there as well. And it's also putting this legislation out there. Those predators, when they're looking for North College Hill, they'll look through our legislation to say, hey, do they have legislation around ransom? And if we do, they don't want to touch us because they know they're not going to get it. So because it's happened as close as Gulf Manor and Columbus and Lima, those are very close to us. We don't want to play with this. A lot of the ransoms have been linked to AI usage. So I want to make sure that I'm talking around just small things that you don't even think of. I just want to put the forethought in your head so that if you choose to use it and when you use it, that you're using it responsibly, and you're also choosing a platform that offers us a bit more privacy and a protection of privacy. With that, I think I'm finished. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Dick Stustein. Is it Copilot safer because it's used by your Microsoft account with like your organization or city?
No, Copilot is, well, Copilot is produced by Microsoft, so let's just establish that. And so because of that, Microsoft has been in the business for a really long time, and they have all kind of licensures and agreements that coincide with Copilot.
Okay.
However, they're just a more responsible, augmented intelligence tool. They just, by way of ethics and integrity, decide that they're going to be more responsible.
Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Ms. Ward.
So, because I work for a hospital, they're starting to allow us to use AI, but we have a special version of Copilot that is specific to the hospital that I work for. So it does not, when you get out of it, it doesn't retain your information. It deletes it. Can we just get that version? And I will tell you this, I don't even use it because, and they're like, well, Mary Jo, then we're going to take away your license. I'm like, fine, take it away, because I'm like, I don't use it. So, and I guess I'm trying to figure out what the real use is for council, because we should not be writing legislation at all. We should
I also
absolutely be going through the law director, and if he's using AI, then shame on him. I don't think he is, but my
He
point
isn't.
is saying I don't know why we would even be doing, that shouldn't even be in our.
So
Madam Vice Chair.
let me just answer that question to the point of a lot of organizations teach AI essentials, how to make your job easier, how to use it as an assistant, make a to-do list or two things like that, or recall meeting minutes or things of that nature. And I know Copilot, you can train it. My organization is one of them because they want us to be lean and work smarter, not harder. And there are some things that could be routine that you can copy and paste and have that essential. So from a council standpoint, it could help you do certain things. If you want to just remind yourself, this is my task. That's how I use it as an assistant. I use my Copilot like that, and I train it so it knows me and it knows it's my assistant to help me recall and remember certain things. If I'm taking notes, that's how I do it. Sometimes on my Word document or organize it, helps me organize it and stay like current or show me my high level things of importance I want to hit. So that's ways you as a council person can use it. So yes, legislation, no. But as a tool, as an assistant, yes. So there's different ways, depending on your comfort level at technology, how you can use it. Did that answer?
I'm very, very, very comfortable with technology.
Right.
I don't want to use this. I choose
Well,
deliberately not
no
to
one's
use
forcing
this.
Madam,
it.
So that's my
It's
whole
your-
point.
yeah, it's your personal choice.
But
And
the
I think
the
Ms.
example that was brought
Pearson
up
was
to
next.
us was
Mhm.
for legislation,
Mhm.
and we should never, ever be using it for legislation.
Right.
Madam Chair.
I think Ms. Keratin was next, Ms.
Okay.
Tuesday, and then
So-
you.
Thank you so much, Madam Vice Chair. So to both of your points, yeah, in the corporate world, it's actually requested to work more efficiently. In the public sector, I know that on a state level, it is also used officially to work more diligently for the constituents that you serve. And I believe that would also apply locally. However, you used the comment or made the statement that it was used for legislation. I'm just asking for you to maybe provide a little bit more insight. I'm looking at legislation. I don't believe any of the legislation that has been brought to council floor has been written. If you know of an article that has, if you can provide maybe a little bit more of clarification towards that. And then potentially the person or parties, maybe with our president of council, I'm not just sure. This is a rules and public policy discussion. I'm not sure where you're going because I'm looking at our legislation. I don't see any legislation that reflects being written through AI, ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, any of them. And so I'm just looking for a little bit of understanding.
So you want me to answer that for you? So I don't think I'll let her answer that point of that she was saying, especially a certain example was used. I think what she's saying is other cities around us have been hit. In order to protect ourselves, we have this ordinance that's on the agenda for us to review, because scammers and thieves and people who do the cyber attacks look for our rules, look for our policies, and see if we are protecting ourselves. And if there's a rule or legislation around it that says we do not negotiate with scammers or cyber attackers, they will bypass us and look for a smaller municipality that does not have that. So we're just trying to be proactive and look at this ordinance so we can try to move it forward to council floor. And then I'll let Ms. Dukestein go ahead. That was just my take on the conversation.
I think it's all of the above. I can recall a piece of legislation that was pushed to council floor that was specific. It was put through its AI search. It did not go to bill first, and it definitely came up as positive for AI. To go back to your question or around purchasing a platform. So I'm definitely looking into that right now, because there is a policy that our staff uses that protects us if we were to have some level of security breach or exposure, because of that policy being in place and because the staff has a requirement to sign off on that. If they go outside of that, our insurance company will protect the city for the city employees. The reason I brought the conversation to you all was threefold. One, because of the legislation. Two, because of the piece of legislation that's in front of you. And thirdly, because although I support people using tools that help them with efficiencies, I will say that I don't just see it in legislation. If like different internal, I've been around it enough to know and worked in corporate. It's just new to the government space, but it is not new to the private sector. As you know, I came from the private sector, so I can pick it up pretty easily. There's a lot of writing that comes from AI via email that, again, does not come with judgment. I'm on this last slide, and it says we must guide technology, not wait for it to shape us. Mm-hmm. So I know that if you are, depending on where you are, some people land on either side of it. I don't want to use it. I don't have any usefulness for it. That's fine, and that's a position that you can take. I will tell you that Ms. Cureton is absolutely right. In more corporate spaces, it is used as a tool and encouraged. In fact, they send multiple people through training on how to use it, so that if you're going to use it, you're going to use it with good stewardship and appropriateness, and with the intention of protecting your organization. So I'm not landing on either side of it. Again, that comes without judgment. I'm merely saying that we are at a crossroads as I see it being used more, that we need to talk about it, get ahead of it, and so that we can use it with knowledge and governance. I am suggesting by bringing it to rules and public policy that you all create a policy around it. I can send you the policy that I created for the staff that I know is a very good policy. And then if you want to work from there amongst yourselves, there's a component that protects us. If we were to receive some kind of ransom, again, predicated around this proposed piece of legislation, and our insurance company, whilst our tax dollars cannot pay the ransom, if we were in a serious situation and we need to retrieve some of our documentation, our insurance company possibly could, if we have handled using augmented intelligence and all of the other spaces responsibly. If we have not, then we cannot use it. And so you all are kind of some outliers because you don't fall under that employee base. So that's why I thought it was important to bring this up, so that you can develop your own rules and regulations around it, because you don't have a policy regarding it and you don't adhere to the employee handbook. So creating a policy for yourselves kind of pulls you back into that umbrella and that safety net if you are choosing to use it and you've used it responsibly and we have a security breach. In addition to all of those things being established, I'm also using it to preface this piece of legislation that talks about cyber ransom demands, because we have had some really close neighbors. Gulf Manor is 10 minutes, 15 minutes up the road. Lima is 20, 25 minutes up the road. Columbus is an hour and a half away, but there are lots of cities right here in Ohio who had this as an issue where there was a ransom. The state has said that tax dollars should not go towards paying ransoms for information. So we need to align our policies and our legislation with the state, but we also need to have some real honest conversations around it. If you don't use it, that's fine. It doesn't really apply to you, but I wasn't trying to shame anyone for using it. I'm saying if you use it, let's use it responsibly with the city's information that you may have access to responsibly with
Madam Vice Chair.
proper governance.
Madam Vice Chair.
So I guess I'm trying to understand the real goal with this. So is the goal, if we get hacked, and I hear you talking about the geographical space of how close Gulf Manor is, but in the cyber world, it doesn't matter.
That's true.
Geographical space is irrelevant. So is your thought process that because we have an ordinance in place, no one's going to hack us?
No, my
Okay.
thought process is
All right.
that it becomes a deterrent for requesting ransom.
Well, if they hack
So-
us, I mean, that's the whole goal of hacking.
Sometimes it's other things. Sometimes it's just an access to information like security breaches to get social security numbers, to do other malice things with. Sometimes it's ransom. Sometimes it's so I do not think that this piece of legislation protects us from ransom. I think it becomes a deterrent. I think it aligns us with state standards that have already been released.
So is there a state law already that we're already under?
They are working through it. And so a lot of cities are going ahead of that to try to get this
Okay.
taken care of. And I want to say, Shiva and I were talking about it because my head's been out of the loop just for the last week or so. They may have actually approved it because I know they were close. So I don't know if it's been approved or not.
So if there's a state law, we wouldn't necessarily need a city
That's
law.
not true. So
Oh.
I don't know if you remember before when it's kind of like the fireworks, when you have a mandate at the state, you want to align your city laws because you set a precedence. Well, it's not okay at the state level, but it is okay at the city level. So we in North College Hill, we have traditionally aligned our legislation up with the state to send a clear message to our residents. This particular thing to our staff and predators, that this is where we stand. So we would not be able to spend tax dollars, but it also has an insurance component to it. Insurance companies can regulate that. Rules and regulations are established before they pay out a ransom on our behalf, and they send us through kind of like a checks and balance to make sure that we've done our due diligence at protecting ourselves to the best of our ability, and that we have not been negligent in understanding policy. Part of that would be that we needed to have an AI policy in-house. I actually did not know that when I created the handbook, but now that the handbook is there, that has checked the box for our insurance company.
Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Ms. Garrett.
So we're talking in a space that I don't think any of us are 1,000%, 100%, or even 50% super proficient in. So if council, because we are governed by ourselves, if council wants to entertain this, then I would propose that we would hire or even have someone who is efficient in working in the AI space, potentially an engineer who knows all about AI, who can tell us the do's and the don'ts, or maybe offer some suggestions. And I would think that would be something that can be at council at a whole or during a council meeting beyond just rules and public policy. None of us, I believe, although we may have general knowledge, work in that space. And I believe an engineer who even teaches at the collegiate level would be able to speak on that on a greater level that can allow us to know. And I do agree with Ms. Zorb that even if we have legislation in place, that will not deter someone from hacking us. In fact, one of the very first emails I got from one of the hacks was from a city employee. So I'm not sure how that would even occur. But I'm glad that we do have an IT rep in place, and I'm hoping that the discussion doesn't say, let's not use AI. The discussion leads more to, let's keep our city safe, and maybe increasing the level of security that our IT team utilizes across the board in all systems, across all devices, to ensure that we can really, as a city, move forward. It's not just AI in which they can utilize hacking. I know that you mentioned previously there was some kiting on the accounts for the Fifth Third Bank. So there are multiple ways people can try to, and if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. Whether we have legislation, whether we have a personal banker, whether we have this or that or that or this. But what I think we should do is, if we're going to go down this road, let's have someone who's really proficient and efficient in this space to come speak to all of council.
Madam
I just,
Vice Chair.
my opinion would be, I don't think we need to spend money hiring someone to come speak. Maybe someone who from our IT can come speak and tell us what their thought process is behind it. I agree that no, it shouldn't be a ban, and no, it shouldn't be a free-for-all. There should be parameters around it, and I think the state is working to build those parameters, but I do agree if we can get ahead of it within our level faster than what will probably process through the state house. Having someone who is more professional, who's willing to volunteer out there, and that's your field of knowledge, your field of expertise. But I don't think hiring someone, I think we could utilize those funds elsewhere besides someone just giving us a,
We have an IT team.
yeah, I said IT
Yeah.
team. So someone in IT who can, if you're not comfortable with our knowledge. But I think the knowledge and information that Ms. Dukesting is bringing back from the conference is sufficient. But if you have more questions around it, I'm not understanding that extent of the need. But if it makes other people feel comfortable, then we can look into that. But I'm not on board with spending any money to pay for someone for that.
Madam
Vice
Chair.
Chair.
Ms. Dukesting was next.
So first of all, I was going to say that this legislation is more around cyber extortion. It's not specific to AI. It also speaks to what Ms. Cureton was speaking about as it relates to the bank, what was going on with the bank account. So I don't want you to connect AI solely to this piece of legislation. This piece of legislation needs to happen because it's the right thing to do, and it's coming down from the state level. I also know that writing policy around it is your choice, which is why I brought it forward to you all, because you all are uncovered. As I said, administration is covered because they signed the handbook and there's a policy in there. And so if you're looking to, in terms of expertise, actually the city of North College Hill received a reward for their AI policy that was put in place amongst a whole diaspora of cities. Even Las Vegas, Nevada was in the room and did not have an as detailed AI policy. So our AI policy internally, per the handbook, has been reviewed by an attorney. It has been sourced. It has as much detail as is current with the laws that we are looking for and that are trending with the courts now. So it would be a shame for you not to embrace that fully. I don't know where the distrust is coming from. Other people are holding us up as a leading platform of what we're doing in the city to get ahead of this. It is the right conversation in our council groups to get ahead of this. You are free to write whatever you want in your rules. It's just something that is food for thought, but that doesn't take away from the actual legislation that is needed to protect or to encourage protection and to put in place us not paying ransom dollars for cyber extortion.
And so, thank you, Ms. Dukestein, for letting us know. I wasn't aware that we won that award, so thank you and congratulations on that. Was not aware our city of that. We spent a lot of time talking about this on AI and cyber attacks. So if you have any questions following up on this, I would say send it to myself and Ms. Clear, and so we could connect with Ms. Dukestein and figure out what we need to do going forward. And since we have expertise in the house, I don't think it really needs us to hire anyone to come in and do anything. But based on your questions, if you have them, please CC me on them to Ms. Claire, as she is out and she probably was like, what is these questions about AI and cyber? And I want to be able to give her that update. That way we can make sure if we can answer those questions in-house, then we can, and then we can move this forward if everyone's comfortable by the next meeting. But right now, let's move on.
Madam
to
Vice
the-
Chair,
we spend so much time. I got
this is just a clarification for protocol.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we govern ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and not through administration, I would just request that we would include our president of council in that correspondence. Ms. Dukestein, you're welcome, but also to include our president, especially if it is something that is going to be governed by council as a whole.
Okay, I was just saying you could just send them to us, Ms. Clear and I, and then if Susie wants to be, Ms. Witzenbach wants to be a part of it, and that's fine. We're just sending the questions.
Madam,
We weren't going to answer them
Madam
in
Chair.
the email so that, because that would be constitute a council meeting. So I just wanted to know what your questions are so that we can move forward, so we can make sure everything's clear, all minds are easy. Are you okay with that, Ms. Thorpe? Yes, you looking at me, but you didn't give me any ideal indication if that was,
Are you saying,
if you have questions on AI, cyber, or this ordinance behind it, so that we know what direction to take it in.
can I ask my,
Sure.
I'm just trying to understand, are you saying that you're moving this to council floor, or we're still discussing this
We're
further?
still discussing it, but in
Perfect.
order to move it,
That's perfect, that's all I needed to know.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair, Madam Vice Chair.
yes, Ms. Ducey.
So the recommendation for administration is
Mhm.
that the council as at large determine what they would like to do as it pertains to their AI usage, i.e. their council rules. This piece of legislation is not for council. This is for our city. This has been vetted and created by our city attorney with information that has been sit down from the state level, guiding what this piece of legislation needs to have in it.
It's my apology, so that is separate from what we would determine for ourselves.
Yes.
Got it.
So you are able to govern whatever you want for yourselves. This piece of legislation is something different.
Okay,
This is for our city, not council.
all right, so let's take 1 minute, and we'll discuss for the next 2 minutes if you guys need to look at this legislation around the ordinance of an ordinance establishing a municipal policy prohibiting payment of cyber ransom and demands for the city. If you guys didn't get a chance to review it when we sent it out last week.
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, Ms. Thorpe.
so, Ms. Dukestein, can you help me walk through the scenario? So the scenario would be, we get hacked, there's a ransomware demand, and because of this in this scenario, this has gone to council floor, we've approved it, so this is in play. So at that point, you, as the city administrator, would be prohibited from paying out any ransom.
Yes.
So then what is the recourse then? Because they're still going to hold,
It then goes over to our insurance company, and our insurance company takes care of what would be considered an attack. And they have a whole legal team. Our insurance company has a whole legal team around helping us to navigate this. And they get to gain pieces of information that would be, that enables them to go after them lawfully. So if we just gave up the money, we may not even have the right information to be able to pursue them, to even get, sometimes cities have paid and they haven't even gotten their information back.
okay, so I'm still working through that scenario. So at this point, now we engage our insurance company. Insurance company does its investigation, whatever that looks like, whatever that length of time is. But during that time, no city employee has access to anything. Is that right? While the insurance company is doing their
Depending on
investigation?
how significant the breach is, that could be a possibility. At this point, we are not able to pay a ransom anyways. If you look at the top of it, it says that we are not able to use tax dollars to pay for a ransom.
I'm clearly just trying to understand what the, like, what the steps are. This is,
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, Mayor.
if it would ease council's mind, you can find out the details in it. It's Ohio House Bill 96. So, I don't know if she said that earlier, I don't think so, but
I did not.
it's
Sorry.
House Bill 96. There also weighs into House Bill 283, and I believe, oh gosh, I can't remember the other one. I tried to look it up. I think it's 283. So,
Madam Vice Chair.
Are you finished? Oh, is that, okay. Yes, Ms. Kierton.
Thank you so much. I still think none of us really live in this space, although Ms. Dukestein went to a conference recently. Hacks, ransomware, malware, all of these things have been going on 10 plus years, 20 plus years. It's nothing new. I think we just not, I think we need to be strategic in our next step. And I'm not sure if a hacker, if they're going to really hack us, they're going to say, ooh, they have an ordinance in place. Nope.
That's not, Madam,
So,
that's
let
not
me-
the purpose
so let me
of
clarify
the
my-
legislation.
I'm sorry, Madam Vice Chair. So I think that it would behoove all of us if we want to extend this conversation, because we have talked about it pretty lengthy and there are still other things to discuss on this agenda. I think that we should not hire, but implore someone to come to our city, potentially a council meeting, spend some time, and let's explore this topic if it's super passionate for our administration. What I'm saying that it's not ready for council. It's not something that should move past this committee based on just one piece of ordinance that we believe could happen this way or that way. I think it just deserves additional discussion from a professional, again, who lives and works in this space. So if we can move
Madam
past
Vice-
this topic, have the professional come, and then we can make sure that we do what's best, not just for what we feel, but what we believe to be true for North College Hill.
Madam Vice Chair.
Ms. Kierton, I wholeheartedly disagree. I mean, I respect your opinion, but if our city is currently winning awards for their policies, we have the experts in-house. At some point, we have to start trusting the people that are in place to protect our city and stop relying on outside people to come in and telling us how to run our city. We are the ones that live here. We are the ones that are invested in protecting it at all cost. So I understand you may not agree with the policy, but the policy isn't written for council. It is written to protect the city and put rules and parameters in place in case a cyber attack would happen. Yes, technology's been technology since 2000, the birth for Google, I think that's when that's around, but we live in a more of a cyber technology world with payments, with how we operate day to day. So I think it is best for the city that we do have a policy in place to protect our interests. I think Ms.
This-
Dukestein had a question, and then you had a comment, and then we'll move on.
I would first say that it's not about feeling. This is what we're supposed to do, coming down from, additionally, House Bill 96. Mayor introduced that, which I did not say that, only because I did not even believe that it would be this challenging to do or put in place what is right for the city. This isn't based on my opinion. This was based on documentation that was sent to Mr. Dieters from the state of Ohio to put together this piece of legislation. That removes even any doubt from me, from the state of Ohio, to Bill Dieters. So I think that our guidance on these things has been the state of Ohio at the state level, and that is the right thing to do.
Mayor Nichols, did
My
you?
only comment was, we're talking two different things here. We're talking about the legislation as far as the city is concerned, and then something totally different for council.
Mhm.
House Bill 96 went into effect September of 2025,
Mhm.
and it says that we must adopt cybersecurity standards, and if a ransomware attack were to occur. So the legislation is not, from what I'm interpreting, is not optional. And obviously it's not, as far as our law director is concerned, to send over we requested the paperwork because we always want to be in compliance as a city. So we are, how many months out?
6. And so we
This
have,
wouldn't prolong it too much longer.
no, we
I
don't
mean,
need to
there's a
prolong it
difference.
at all.
If, as far as the city is concerned, again, we can't, if council chooses not to have a policy, but as a city, we need to follow the guidelines of House Bill 96. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to the next ordinance on the agenda.
Madam President, I think some further discussion around, is this going to go over to council floor? I mean, I get that we've spent a lot of time. However, this is the appropriate space to talk about this. Actually, we brought this forward in a previous meeting in 2025, but the legislation wasn't here yet. Bill just got us the legislation, and we were talking all around House Bill 96. And then there was this other piece of legislation that we put through to kind of get us up to date on those standards internally and the OVN and all of that, which is the software that we're using internally. But then this is the next phase of it. And so, again, this is, I'm not
agree.
unsure where the difficulty is coming in from. This is something that we need to do from a city standpoint. If we do not do this, our insurance company will not cover us.
So
And
we
do
need
not
this
want to be out there
For
like that.
protection for our insurance company, and our law director recommends that we wholeheartedly do this. I was hoping that the committee would look at the ordinance body itself and the wording to see if there was anything they wanted to change, edit, and not really, I didn't think we were going to get into a debate. So yes, moving it to council floor would be the best move, and then if there's revisions or edit, then we could do that on council floor if there's any suggestions.
Madam Vice Chair.
With that being said, we have
Madam
10
Vice Chair.
Ms. Carrington, I have to move on. We have 10 minutes left in this meeting, and all we've covered was one ordinance.
I do not agree
I
with
understand.
it being
You made
moved
that
to
point
council
very-
floor.
Ms. Claire, Ms. Carrington, you made that point. We've heard you, and you've made that point.
So just
we
to
have
clarify,
to-
it cannot
we are
move
needing
if,
to-
if the committee doesn't agree. It can't just be one person who wants
You
it.
absolutely are
Okay,
right.
thank you.
So, moving on, an ordinance prohibiting the use or holding of an electronic wireless communications device while operating a motor vehicle within the city of North College Hill and establishing penalties. Section 1 definitions, a cellular device, cellular telephones, smartphones, personal digital assistants, tablets, laptop computers, any other sustainably similar wireless device. The term does not include a two-way radio used by emergency services personnel in the performance of official duties. Does anybody else have anything or any discussion around this ordinance?
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, Ms.
I
Carrington?
think this is something that it's necessary. I also thought we already had it in place. So this, are we revisiting and recreating something new? And I think Ms. Zord may be best because she's the most tenured, or Mayor Nichols. But I thought we already had it. I just couldn't find it. So I don't want us to have to reinvent the wheel if it already exists.
Madam Mayor?
I believe, Madam Vice Chair, I believe it was just a state law that came down. I
Yes.
do not recall
Okay.
the city ever putting anything into place.
Yes, I would agree that it was a state law that came down.
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, Ms. Zord?
does this include our police?
No, because it said the two-way radios.
But they have a laptop in their car. They have cell phones that they use all the time. Does it cover them?
I don't have the legislation in front.
The legislation does not include our law enforcement. There's a specific,
Does it, I haven't read all the way through this. Is there something omitting them from this?
I think it's under
this models.
Section 3. It's number 6, a public safety official performing official duties.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, Ms. Carrigan?
I think this is something that we need to adopt. I see no issues with it. I also believe that it is necessary for our law enforcement, fire EMS, emergency responders to utilize their device for communication for their emergencies. And so without delay, I believe this is something in its current state ready to go to council floor.
Ms. Zort?
I would agree with that.
Awesome, good. Maybe we can move on then to the next legislation or the next ordinance. An ordinance requiring candidates for elected office and individuals holding candidates for elected office and holding elected office in the city of North College Hill to be current on all municipal income tax obligations owed to the city. Any discussions?
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, Ms. Zorb.
I'm curious, where did this get originated? What was the catalyst to bring this up?
Rita.
Mhm.
So Rita told you to put out a document to make sure that your elected officials are current.
No, Rita gave us a list of suggestions. One of those things was the subpoena program, modeling what other cities do to
And we
make
did.
sure that, I'm sorry?
And we did.
Mm-hmm. And this is another leveraging of that. Those
So
suggestions.
did they provide this template, or was this like, or it was just like a bullet point and we came up with the details on our own? This is very new to me. This is very shocking to me, and this is very disturbing to me, if I can be very honest.
So what are you asking me? What specifically? Are you asking me if it came
Who-
by way of a bullet?
When someone was interacting with Mr. Dieters to write this up, who was that? Was that?
Me.
And so what parameters did you, like, I'm trying to use the right words here.
didn't give Mr. Dieters any parameters. I simply said to him what Rita suggested, and then he came up with this piece of legislation. I didn't specify any specifics. What I do know that when I talked to Rita and gave them this piece of legislation, this would include payment plans. So it's not that you have to be up to date. You have to just be in a healthy space. Like, in a healthy space for Rita would be a payment plan that you are working on if there were any delayed taxes. You just can't be delinquent and non-filing and in an official capacity or elected official capacity.
So what is and I did not have time to research this because this even goes into removing people from office. I didn't know that was a thing. So that's why I'm really concerned how.
Oh.
And I mean, this doesn't even apply to me. It does, obviously, under the umbrella of an elected official, but like my employer takes Rita out, so I know I'm up to date. But I'm talking about, like, I am so anti this document, you can't even understand how anti I am.
Madam
Well,
Vice Chair.
I disagree. I think as
You're allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're having
Yep.
discussion. I think as an elected official, we're held to a higher standard. How can you ask your citizens to be current and penalize them if we don't set the example? And it's giving you time, filing missing returns, paying outstanding taxes, penalties, or interest, or entering into approved payment plans.
So can I respond to that? Because I believe
absolutely.
full-heartedly the document that we already did pass, the subpoena process, should cover this. So we would be subpoenaed the same as the residents would, so we are being held to that same standard. Rita doesn't give a two hoots whether we're elected or whether, as long as you're a resident, you should be paying it.
I don't think someone should be in a leadership role and not being able to set, like, the example, like your employer has the clause in their employment that you have to be pillars of your community. So that means you can't be out here going around school buses, you may get the ticket, but you may have to answer to your organization if you're out here caught not being a pillar in your community. So
Madam
I
Vice
think
Chair.
this kind of sets that same precedence, that same tone.
So that all the employees should be in this.
Yeah, that was my point. Every city employee.
It should be every single employee then.
I don't have a
You
problem
guys
with
are-
being the example, but I'm sorry, was it Mayor or was it Ms. Dukestein?
Ms. Kiritan.
Okay, Ms. Kiritan.
Very quickly, I do agree. If, again, council governs themselves, right? And in this piece of legislation that Ms. Dukestein wrote with Mr. Dieters, it says that you are wanting to remove people from council. And so that, again, is outside of your space. Now, if this were a city employee and you want to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. John Doe, Jane Doe, you're not paying your city taxes for Rita, thank you, but you have to go on, that's your space. This
we are at
would be outside of that. So I don't think
I'm
this
sorry,
is
Ms.
something
Kiritan.
that you have governance over, Ms.
It
Dukestein.
is.
Madam Chair,
It is 6:59. There's another meeting
I
after us.
would like to speak to that. It'll
Okay.
take 30 seconds.
Yes.
Please do not misquote my words. I did not say I wrote this with Bill Dieters. What I said was I received the information from Rita and I passed it on to Bill Dieters and he wrote this document. I specifically said when Ms. Zorb asked, did I give any parameters around it? I don't have anything to do with what Rita is suggesting.
Okay. So with that being said, I
Ms.
want-
Chichester, can I
it
just
is-
add, I
hold on,
promise,
hold on,
it's
hold on.
one minor
I
point.
gotta wrap up, so it's sort of.
It's super minor.
I
just
yield
want-
time from public safety.
I just want to point out that I know Ms.
How much time are
Kiritan
you
said
yielding?
city council. It's not city council. This would include the mayor's position. This is all elected officials.
I agree. And I agree, since we're here making the laws and legislation around taxes, that we can't make those rules for our citizens and not follow them for ourselves. That doesn't make sense.
Madam Vice Chair, I can
Subpoena
yield
process
10 minutes, 9 minutes now.
9 minutes, okay, we have 9 more minutes.
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, Ms. Duxstein.
so because more time was yielded, I'll speak to something Ms. Zorb said. Ms. Zorb, this is, again, another piece of legislation that is bigger than my desire. This is coming down from Rita, and there are some stipulations in the Ohio Revised Code that speak to being up to date on your taxes, especially as an elected official at the state level. You cannot actually run for office if your taxes are not up to date. As it relates to employees, I think the differentiating space is the elected official space. I don't disagree that employees should be up to date on their taxes. I just don't have the ability to govern that. I actually don't have the ability to govern this. This came from a space that's outside of me, but this is coming from our tax constituents, and this is a piece of legislation for you to consider.
Mayor, did you have something to add?
I did. I'm sorry, Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Mayor?
I wanted to the point that Ms. Curitan said, I don't have the legislation in front of me, but I don't know that council can be removed from office unless it's done per the charter.
Madam Vice Chair.
So if that's in that legislation, in my opinion, I'll have to do some more research. I was actually looking, but I couldn't find anything. It would have to resort back to the charter. So that would need to be removed from that legislation if that in fact is in there. Again, I don't have it in front of me. I didn't read the entire document because council governs itself. Council is responsible to suspend or their own members.
Okay, give me a second. Let me make that note on there too.
And I can follow up and give Bill Dieters those notes.
Mhm.
Madam
And
Vice
additionally,
Chair.
if I could make one more
Give me
statement,
2
I'm sorry.
seconds,
Ms.
you guys.
Curitan.
Before we move anywhere, let me find it. Where was it in here?
What are you looking for?
It's
What she
under
said.
failure to cure.
It's under what?
Well,
Requirements.
it's within the, excuse me, Madam Vice Chair.
Yes, Ms. Curitan.
It's under quite a few sections, but failure to cure is one area where it lives.
Okay, let me just
Um,
make a note that,
Sure.
add that in there so that we can get back to Bill and have him rewrite it.
Are you yielding the floor to me to speak?
Yes, Ms.
Okay.
Curitan.
Also, there were a couple of areas in here that gave the city administrator space to govern this with certificates that have to be printed out, all these things that kind of don't live in that space. I recommend that, Ms. Duxstein, if you would like for this to come before Rules and Public Policy, if you have it, if you have the ability to maybe just read through it in detail and maybe X out some things that you do not agree with. I was under the assumption that that occurred prior to, and I understand things, you know, what have you, but, yeah, Mayor Nichols, you are right. We're governed by the charter, so that can't happen. And then the other piece was having to turn a certificate in to the administrator and all these other nuances. And so I agree. I do
Say the
agree.
clerk?
Ms.
The
Curitan.
clerk, yeah, the clerk, and then the administrator can go in, somewhere in the document, it mentions that she can go in and do an audit or something here and there. It's a lot. However, I believe that we do, as an elected official, and really as city employees, because we're all leaders, we should be up to date, right? But if this is something that Ms. Duxstein wanted to bring before council, I would think that would extend into city employee space as well, just to make sure that everybody is, right? And even those who have worked here in the prior years, I just think, you know, what's right for one should be right for all.
Ms. Carrington, I disagree. We have trouble getting candidates into our city, and if you think we have trouble now, we definitely will have trouble if we put that clause on city employees. Also,
Then we
Miss,
don't want them as
it's our
employees.
duty to discuss.
That's the law.
Also, it's our duty to discuss and determine what clauses we would like to add or remove from the document. To put that on the administration, which they don't, what if they remove a clause or something that we agree with, right? So it's our job to have that discussion here.
Madam Vice Chair.
VC. Go ahead, Ms. Carrington.
Ms. Dukes.
16.
Ms. Dustin, sorry.
So, no, I actually agree that the verification by tax administration, so the section 3 says verification by tax administrator. That is not me, and then maybe Bill did not understand that it's not me. I don't even have access to those records, and he literally says the city administrator or the finance director, and it should actually be finance manager. And so on these types of pieces of legislation, when I get a rollout from our governance to go over to Bill, I send it over to Bill because it is Bill's responsibility to lead the legal language that appropriates with our charter. That part is not on my shoulders. What I will say is that Bill may not have been aware that the city administrator is not the tax administrator for the the city of North College Hill. That is Ms. Shiva Stevens not. And there is law at the state level that doesn't even allow me to have access to those records. I did not purport myself in this legislation to be that steward, if you will, that would actually only exist with Ms. Shiva Stevens not as our finance manager and our tax administrator. So this committee would be the committee to talk about those nuances that Bill put in here and correct it. If so, I don't govern over the law director. You all do, actually. So
right.
what I can include in this is to take the city administrator out of the whole document and put in our finance manager, who is our tax administrator. The other thing that I would agree, as Mayor and Ms. Carrington pointed out, is the idea around removing an individual from council. I think if you are going to adopt this, that the encouragement needs to be to come into compliance, which looks like setting up a payment plan. I literally wrote at the top of here, this includes payment plans and tax workouts. So if you are wanting to see a more modified document that falls in line with our charter, I would suggest those two things.
Madam Vice Chair.
Ms. Zorb, we're gonna have to parking lot this until next time. We are.
I just want to be crystal clear.
Mhm.
I will not support this, and I don't care what modifications are made to it. That's my position.
Madam Vice Chair,
Mayor.
just really quick.
Go ahead, Mayor Nichols.
I just had a question. This is not on this piece of legislation. I heard how Ms. Carrington and how you, Ms. Chichester, felt about that one piece of legislation. Ms. Zorb, is this still in committee? The one with the cyberware? Because you didn't say anything. I didn't hear.
I believe it's
Is
still
it
in
standing?
committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They expressed how they felt, but you didn't say anything.
All right. That is rules and public policy. We will end the meeting, adjourn the meeting at 7:10. Thank you.
This is the Public Safety Committee meeting this evening. And I am your chair, Kathy Curitan. My vice chair, Brandon Davis, along with member Mary Jo Zorb is present. Our other member, Annalisa Clear, is excused with an absence, and she is excused. All right, so the first thing that I wanted us to do is to review and accept our 2-9 and 3-9 committee meetings minutes. There was one modification that needed to occur. In those notes, it did not show that Ms. Zorb was present at the 3-9 meeting. I believe that she was.
Yes, she was.
Yes. So if we can
I
make
can
that
talk in
change.
third person. Yes, she was.
Mr. Davis, can you make that change for me with the 3-9 meeting to add Ms. Zorb to the attendance? All right.
Thank you.
Let's dive right into it. So thank you so much, Madam Mayor and Ms. Stukestein for being present. And also thank you, Ms. Stukestein, for providing your very thorough reports. My area that I would like to focus on is public safety. And I'm not sure if you can answer. I did invite Chief Cheney. Do you think he's going to be able to make it this evening?
He is not.
Okay, he is not. No worries, no worries. Some of the questions, and I'm glad that you also provided me this evening with the report for the first quarter, because that was on my topic. So thank you, Chief Cheney, for that, and thank you, Ms. Dukestein. I wanted to kind of look at some of the stats of what we had last year, this time, and where we were this year overall, or last year overall, and this year this time. Okay, so I wanted to maybe dive into the number of officers that we currently have. So can you maybe give us an idea of where we are, full command staff across the board?
We have 16.
16. And then we have space for how many?
2.
So total 18? Does that include our sergeants and detective?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, that's good. We're really good numbers. And then looking at the call volume, I still see that we are trending heavily around 900-ish with a little bit of a variable. Are we offering a lot of mutual aid calls? Like, what's keeping our numbers high? I realize that you said a lot of mental health cases. I also realized that you mentioned that there is limited proactive policing and the capacity. But what do you believe is driving these numbers, and if that has anything to do with the number of officers we previously had, being understaffed and now almost being fully staffed?
I think that the call volume per month is just on an uptick. I think that's trending with the greater Cincinnati and even Ohio.
Right. So what I'm thinking that we do have a number of calls, but I thought that some of our calls, now that we have sergeants and now we have detectives in place permanently, and I believe that we have another person, I'm missing one in leadership with Chief Cheney.
We have a lieutenant. We have 2 sergeants.
Sergeants, a detective.
A detective is a lateral officer. It's not.
Okay. So now, because last year we didn't have a detective, so
We
are
did.
we?
We've always had a detective. We had one retired.
Got
and
it.
then we replaced.
There was no gap?
No.
Okay. Do you know what that clearance rate is now with us being fully staffed? Has our clearance rate increased?
We didn't have any gaps. So we had a retiree and then we had someone coming in. And so we've had continuity of service in the space of a detective.
So what I'm thinking that if we look back last year this time, we were not fully staffed or close to it, and now that we are. Last year at the end of 2025, it was reported that we had a clearance rate, which is the total number of arrests, 918. Do you believe that in Q1 that has increased? That now that we have more officers, we have a greater ability to go after those?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you look at the first quarter stats, it talks about the offenses per the arrests. The total arrests was 329 versus the total offenses 282. Part of that was the juvenile stuff. And you look down throughout the numbers, the mutual aid is 82 across the first quarter, which that we are able to supply our services to our own city. So everyone is in an uptick of calls. I think that's mutual with our surrounding cities and, like I said, the greater Cincinnati. However, we are able to meet more of our own calls. I think I gave in the report and you have my city administrator report attached. Just even the ability to tow and respond to that has changed significantly.
Okay. Before I proceed, does anyone on the committee have any questions that are relative to our stats that Ms. Duxine? Yep, go ahead, Ms. Sword.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Duxine, I am curious, that mutual aid number. So I know it's like we're all in this mutual aid agreement, but is there a way to break down whether it's us going to, say, Mount Healthy or Coleraine, or whether it's Coleraine, Mount Healthy coming to us?
I can ask for that specific breakdown.
It just makes me wonder, like, are we always somewhere else helping?
Nah,
Someone
I mean,
else, or
honestly, if you just,
they're coming
it's
here?
just based on your observation, I've seen the officers out a whole lot more.
I came home Friday night and I thought there were a lot of blue lights in a lot of different places. I was quite pleased, but especially since they weren't in my rearview mirror, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I was tickled. Saw them again today.
I've seen them every day in the evening, night hours. I've seen officers out in the mornings when I leave. I leave very early. So, yes, I've seen them out.
I've been warning the heavy foot people in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Davis?
Good call. You don't want that.
Did you have anything relative to this topic that we've been discussing, or the number of calls, the mutual aid, or anything in general on the first page from the Public Safety Committee report from Chief Cheney?
So, as for right now, I'll say, because depending on how we want to count the Kroger thing, I'm seeing that comes up to a 91% clearance rate, and I'm making a note that when it comes to the minutes and everything, I am going to compare those numbers from quarter 1 2025 to quarter 1 2026. And number two, at the end of the year report, shows where we when we go to mutual aid or when mutual aid comes to us. I'll look around and see if I can find that somewhere else as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Davis. The report that I received in January, it is pretty detailed. It's their 2025 overview, but I don't think it talks about whether it's us to them or them to us. So yeah, that would be interesting to know. Ms. Duxine, can you also, as we talk through this report that you gave us, I'm looking to see if we can identify if violent crime has increased or decreased. Do you know if that is depicted in any of the numbers?
Yes, I am positive violent crime has decreased.
Do you know by what percentage?
I do not know the percentage from this year to last year.
Not this year, last year, just in Q1.
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if property crime or theft has increased or decreased?
I believe theft has gone up. We've had a rash of car break-ins, and I've checked with Mount Healthy, Springfield Township. It's everywhere. I know even College Hill has had a rash of car break-ins.
Thank you so much for sharing. I see it and hear about it all the time, which leads me to my next statement, or more so discussion. And I'm going to jump just a little bit on our agenda, if I can, committee, if that's okay with you all. Do you know if there is discussion? We had a meeting on January the 13th for the Neighborhood Watch. And so, actually 30 days ago. So do you know, or excuse me, 90 days ago, forgive me. Do you know when the next Neighborhood Watch, or if that is something that you can find out?
I do know that we don't have a set date. I know that you are aware that the NRO was promoted to, which is Zach Wiley was promoted to sergeant, and he carried on the basic responsibilities of the NRO. He's passing on those duties to his replacement, and when he's up and ready and trained efficiently, he will be able to resume those meetings.
Fair enough. We look forward to those. I know that there are citizens who also look forward to being vigilant. There was a resident last eve or Sunday evening, I can't recall, who was just sharing about some things that were happening on her street. And so I think that as a community, which doesn't matter which area you live in, you know, we are pretty neighborly with each other. And so we can really get that ramped up, especially with the increase in the property crime and theft. That would be really helpful. One additional area that I wanted to speak on, and maybe you can provide clarification on, is your key operational challenges, one being limited proactive policing and capacity. I'm not sure what that means. Can you elaborate?
So when we were talking about this key operational challenges, I had asked the department heads to specifically respond to a question, and that was, let's talk about the key challenges of 2025 so that we can compare if council was availing themselves to how we have overcome that in the Q1 of 2026. So limited proactive policing capacity. Again, you have seen the police officers out. That is speaking to that short-staffed position that we've been in for like 5 years, and to coming into 2026 and almost being fully staffed, definitely have overcome that.
Okay. Fair enough. I do want to highlight an area that is super exciting, opportunities for improvement, where the HR director is going to be focusing on the mental health, physical health, and stress management with continued collaboration with our officers in our wellness program. That's really, really huge for the line of work that they do. And so I appreciate that for our officers. In order, I believe, for us to attract really good officers, we have to have that on lock. So that's really important. Committee, does anyone have any questions or statements before we move on?
I do not, thank you.
Now, this can wait, because my first thought is actually in regards to the upcoming partnership with Justice Works. Did you mention it already?
I have not. Feel free. Go ahead.
Okay. So Justice Works they are I'd call them a national company, and what they do is they administer cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's something that we've used for adults with the possibility with the goal of preventing recidivism, and it appears that is now spreading to Ohio. So for us to be one of the first places to do this, like, this is going to be interesting, where we're able to speak to kids speak to kids who've had possibly their first encounter with the justice system, and get them a chance to explain their feelings, and maybe speak on a different level of reasoning, or a different way to attack an issue, a different way to solve problems. This is interesting. Like I said, this is one of those things where I've been trained in cognitive behavioral therapy, and I'm appreciative of this, and I love to see how this works out going forward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Davis. I do agree with you. Super helpful as we strengthen our city. Next page talks on code enforcement and the standards. Some challenges include high volume of complaints and inspections. I consider that to actually not be a challenge, because if we're having a lot of citizens or whomever talking about the area, that means they care. So I think that's coming from a really good, healthy space. Does anyone in the committee agree or disagree? Like, for example, if I see someone who, brings up an issue about grass, yeah, I agree, cut your grass. It's necessary. So I don't think that is a challenge, but I can see how it could be with limited staff and the capacity to do so. So Ms. Dustine, do you foresee an expansion in this space for code enforcement? Are we still at one FTE?
We have two. We have the
Two.
contracted employee, which is Bill Knight, which is our city
Okay,
inspector. And then we have Mr. Wallace, who's our code enforcement. And to clarify, what high volume of complaint and inspections. So in some ways, we're still dealing with an overlap of what was versus what we're moving to. So, you know, there had to be a time where we get caught up. And what you'll hear the residents saying now is, "Are you guys new? Is this department new?" Because they have been so accustomed to not getting notices of violations. And so I don't think what was insinuated there was just the complaint of the high volume of it. He was just really speaking to, as he's coming into kind of getting us up to code and being consistent, because you got to develop consistency so people know. It's just like resetting the standard and letting individuals and residents and constituents know we're here. You're not going anywhere. We're not going to let up. We're going to be consistent and proactive with our code enforcement so that you know to keep a standard in North College Hill.
Good to know. Thank you, Mr. Wallace. We appreciate that. Are you noticing that there are more complex, as it's described as a challenge, that maybe is something there's not an SOP for, or it's just something like, oh my gosh, what do we do?
I would say that there are definitely some, you're getting past just the mundane grass and trash stuff, so that you're moving. I know he was in an uproar, Mr. Wallace, because we have 2 pigs that live in North College Hill. One is an emotional support animal, and the other one is not. And so we don't have farm animals on property. So that was a big area of complexity, just trying to figure out how to gently deal with that. People become accustomed to their pets, but we have ordinances and codes that have to be followed. So the longer he's here, the more he'll get acclimated with the area and he'll notice more.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. And then lastly, with our fire department, that's going back under our police department. They are indicating that they are maintaining their service continuity and they're addressing the infrastructure and facility resilience. I'm not sure what that means. Is it because we don't have the resources? We've borrowed from Mount Healthy?
I mean, I may get
Okay,
to that page,
sure.
sorry. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, repeat what you said.
Absolutely. And so some of their priorities have included maintaining service continuity, which I do believe they do very, very well. And then addressing the infrastructure and facilities resilience. Is it because of the conditions of our firehouse, having to borrow from Mount Healthy?
No, not
Okay.
the equipment. This is infrastructure, our literal buildings.
Yeah. But what's the issue with the building that's prohibiting them from giving their absolute best? Or, what do we need to do in that building?
Well, they're addressing like removing some lead that was found in the firehouse, and it's an aging building. We have not done the best at NCH at keeping up our buildings and facilities. So we have a plan to ensure that we are bringing everything forward. Sometimes that looks like a fresh coat of paint. Sometimes that looks like making room for a nursing mother. Sometimes that looks like making sure that a window gets shut that has been open for 2 or 3 years prior. So just doing a full throttle assessment of the buildings and bringing them forward and making sure that they are in complete compliance.
Good. One other key area that I wanted to highlight was they've mentioned that they're working to strengthen their capital planning and their budgeting coordination. I really appreciate that. Is that something that can also be echoed with our police department, or is that something they're already working on?
I would say that across all departments that we're constantly working on that. The fire department has the ability to focus on that a little bit more closely because of their financial position, some grant opportunities that are out there specifically related to those services. So, and because they are attached to police, when fire does if they stay on the trajectory that they're on, the police will benefit.
Yeah. Yep. Very good. I do appreciate your report. It's very thorough. It's easy to navigate. It allows me to come up with the questions beforehand. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. All right.
Madam President,
Madam Chair.
I'm sorry,
It's
Madam
okay.
Chair.
Mhm.
Also, just for your reading review, there is a document in the back that kind of supports the count of incidents by month. And you can see like a big dip, how they went up in January and then they dropped down in February. Now they're back on the uptick with March. And if you're looking at the city as a whole, both across police, fire, you know, the weather getting warmer, all of those things play a part in the fire calls. Also at the top of there, you'll see the fire calls versus the EMS calls, and then the outliers, which are the other calls. So it just kind of supports what's already in this document and what they've been experiencing in Q1.
Yeah. Well, we thank you. I always make the joke that I will never run into a burning house, or will I ever run to the scene of a crime to assist like our police officers and our firefighters do. So thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Wallace, for making sure everyone keeps their grass cut. We appreciate that. All right, let's move along. If nobody else has any topics on the administrative report. Mr. Davis?
Just random. So you mentioned the illegal livestock, that it was 2 pigs. So I'm just making sure that the chicken man is okay.
No,
Nah. we gotta mess with the chicken man.
we do. You can have so many and he has more than, but I don't want to call individuals out, but.
Right.
No.
I
would say
said
that-
I said the chicken man for a reason. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right, let's move forward. So let's go back to a very interesting and sometimes contentious topic, and I'm so glad to see Councilwoman Alexander in the room because we've talked about speeding in North College Hill, and we've really talked about speed bumps. At our last meeting, Interim Chief Cheney and Ms. Duxine talked about ways that we can reintroducing speed monitors, and so I wanted to just revisit that topic. And if we can talk about the past assessments that have been performed in North College Hill regarding speeding and where we are now.
Are you asking me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mhm.
So they're supposed to talk with Cheney and Braden about the traffic calming device. It's not a traffic calming device. It's a traffic monitoring device specifically focused on speed. Public Works was having a hard time placing the piece of equipment. So they are going to relinquish that piece of equipment over to the police department, and they're going to start putting it out, and that swap is supposed to happen tomorrow.
And do you know where it's going to be?
I don't. They're going to choose some kind of hot spots based on the police cruisers being out and just observation, public commenting to place it and to kind of determine if they need to do some further support to slow that area down.
Will
But
there
it's
be one?
data based.
Okay. Will there be 1? Will there be 3? Will there be 15?
I don't know how many machines there are. I do
One
think it's
machine?
only one because they require electricity, so they have to be hooked up.
And we're borrowing this from a neighboring city?
No, we own it.
We own it. Then, if I may ask, why are we not using it more frequently,
Madam,
even as a deterrent?
long story less long. It's been the domain of the Public Works of Public Works Department, and when we lost in, the Public Works supervisor is the person who used to set it and get the readings, and then it's just something that's fallen by the wayside as we wait to get a new Public Works director.
Fair. Is there a time frame in which are we going to go 30 days, 15 days, or do you know? How long?
A time frame in which will be in one spot. Is that what you're asking?
Correct. Yeah,
I
because
don't think it'll
ideally,
be 30 days. I think that it only takes like a couple of days of monitoring. Yeah, or I would say a few days to
Like-
at best a week.
Seven at most. So I apologize. My bad.
You're fine.
It generally 7 at most, so they can get a run of okay. So we're okay. 90% of the people are within 10% of the speed limit during rush hour. Maybe 30% of people are more than 10% past the speed limit during like late at night or early in the morning, because that's what it does. It's like it would show, okay, like, so the average speed down, like the speed limit might be 25. It'll say like the average speed down here is like 29, and then how many people are within 10% too high or 10% too low, and then it'll flash when there's more than there are people going more than 10%.
Madam Chair.
Sure.
it
One
als-
moment, Ms. Dukesteen. So just to make sure I understand, we've done an assessment before of speeding in North College Hill. We've heard from citizens regarding speeding in North College Hill. We have the data. I am not against this, but I'm wondering what's our next step after this?
So again, you've seen the officers out. They're being a lot more visible and stopping cars. It's reflective in the reports that you see with here on their traffic stops and incidences. So it's kind of, let's do it all. Let's figure out where the speeders are. Let's see if we can remediate the scenario using the tools that we already have, that we've already paid for. So,
Yeah. So I was hoping that Chief Chaney would be here, and I do understand that he could not, but only 25% of our first quarter stats reflect a traffic violation, and not every traffic violation was speeding. So that's even lower. So I'm wondering, and even if the committee, if you can chime in, if there's anything else that we can do, because we've heard from council members, past and present. We've heard from citizens, past and present. And speeding is an issue, and as we get ready for our kids to go to school in the next 6 to 7 weeks, we really want to put more eyes and ears. And so having more officers vigilant in the community, that's very much appreciated. But what's our next step? Are we saying that, you know what, we're going to put an officer maybe a block up from where this, I'm going to call it a machine, that's not the correct title, correct me please, where this machine is going to be, so we can catch these frequent speeders? Is it more in the morning, more in the afternoon? Like, I just want to know, what is our next step? Are we just going to write tickets, or how do we really mitigate and discourage speeding in North College Hill?
both. So putting out the equipment does reduce for some. It becomes a visual aid to say, hey, I need to slow down. Again, officers are placed and writing tickets. You have to allow what has been put in place to give some time to work and to see the impact of the changes. You can't change everything all at once, because then you don't have the ability to measure what is the greatest impact. So for now, we're implementing putting back the device that we have paid for and own. And we are also dispatching more officers on the streets to pull over and give citations as needed.
And did we talk, thank you so much, Ms. Dukesteen. Committee, have we talked about putting like bump outs in North College Hill? And I realized
Madam
too,
Chair.
in that same, and I acknowledge you, Ms. Zorb, in that same conversation, I think you disagree with us, but I think that speed bumps, although they may damage our road, they save lives. It causes people to intentionally slow down. So for example, with this machine, a person may slow down for a brief moment, then zoom, they're back going. And that could still be the case, but we have a lot of speeders in residential areas where our precious children are playing, and our elderly may be out, and just the whomever, wherever, however, we've got to find another way. So can we also review or consider speed bumps or speed humps in North College Hill?
I don't think that speed humps are off the table. I think that speed humps are just delayed until we can remediate what is our current layout. I also think that for more reasons than just they damage the streets, they just overall cost money. And with our budgets being limited, we have to allow the fact that we're almost fully staffed to let that implementation take some time. And then in the interim, we're looking for dollars to make sure that we can support the purchase of speed humps if and when we get to that point. And we're also gathering data from surrounding cities who have added speed humps to determine whether they were effective for them or not. Now, I do know the speed humps came back that they weren't really a speed deterrent. However, the build outs, we're still looking at that data.
Ms. Zorb?
So I know we've talked about these speed humps, bumps, ramps, whatever, for years. And they are certainly popping up everywhere within the city of Cincinnati. My personal opinion is, I see people go over, they slow down for the speed hump, and then they just gun it right afterwards. So I don't know that that's really the solution. And I know people in TV land aren't going to want to hear that, but that's my personal opinion. I am not a professional. I truly think that the enforcement part is our answer. I know when I was growing up, Mount Healthy had one heck of a reputation that you did not speed through Mount Healthy or you're going to get a ticket. I know because I did when I was 16. So that was in my head. So I don't speed through Mount Healthy. So if we get that reputation, I
agree.
think the reputation is a bigger deterrent than the speed humps. That's my opinion. So the more I see the blue lights a flashing, the happier Mary Jo is. I really want to see him on my street more, but I know I'm not special. But I live at a 90-degree stop sign, and I promise you, people, I think there's some Facebook page somewhere that says, how fast did you possibly go on two wheels around that bend? Because it's crazy. I have given police officers permission to sit in my driveway to watch it, to monitor. Come sit in my driveway. You have my permission. Use it. Because my grandkids play in the front yard. I've had a car run into my house after it was being chased and ran the stop sign and ran directly into my house. I don't want my grandkids to be playing in the front yard and some tragedy happens because somebody did not obey the law. So I want enforcement. That's where Mary Jo stands.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that, Ms. Zorb. And Ms. Dukestein, it is what it is. They speed in North College Hill. Do we have the capacity, because I think I wrote 2 officers short of being full-time. I'll give you an example. Where my kids go to school, there is an officer at the elementary school every morning and every afternoon. 7 to 9 or 8 to 9 and 3 to 4 or 3 to 5. I don't know. He's there every single day, and people know you better slow down, right? And it's through a residential area. So is there a way that we can pivot an officer into a strictly enforcement role in North College Hill? 1 or 2, maybe in South.
I would challenge you to look into if the school is actually paying for that officer. Like I know at St. X, they have an officer there, and that officer is paid for 100% by the school. I can also tell you that happens at St. Vivian, which is another school that I have hands-on knowledge with, and that is also partnered with Central Baptist. That's right across the street in St. Vivian. They share the cost of that officer. So some schools, specifically private in nature, they have dollars where they'll allocate those officers.
Yeah.
I know that our school district does not have those dollars available right now, but I can tell you, sitting in on some other conversations, we are looking for every support dollar that we can to help the school support, safe travel for the kids.
Sure. I wasn't specifically saying it would be supporting the schools, so to speak, 'cause that's a different project. That's a Safe Routes project. I'm just saying that he's parking his cruiser, he or she is parked there, right? All right, let's just take it a block south or a block north. Let's just put him at Skyline, or let's put him at the UDF, or let's just put him at the Dollar General, where they have been known. You come in from College Hill into our city, people zoom up and down through that hill. So can we utilize areas in our city outside of being just parked at the school? They could be parked anywhere. Just having officers who are strictly for enforcement. And let's just see potentially if that will detour along with having this, I'm calling it a machine, correct me please, having this machine present And I don't mind. Let North College Hill be known. I don't speed through North College Hill. Let us have that reputation. And maybe those enforcements have to come. First violation, second violation. I believe that you get at the first violation is like, I don't know, and then it triples and then whatever it could be, right? So is that a space that we can potentially have Chief Cheney look into?
So Chief Cheney and I have spoken on that, and I do know that he was talking to me and getting some schedule conversations going on how they schedule their officers to potentially leave an officer available, not specifically for that, but just the way that the call volume has picked up to service the amount of calls that we have. The only thing that I can say on that right now is we have to meet the need of our city. Again, those examples that I gave, those are officers across different cities and communities where the schools are paying for them. They are not just sitting in up the street and down the street from the schools because they want to support the community or to slow down the school areas. They're literally sitting there because they're paid for by the schools. So because we don't currently have that as an option, I know that there are going to be some schedule changes that may support some similar efforts.
Good. I'm looking forward to our committee receiving the data from the 7 or 10 days the machine will be out, and I'm looking to know about next steps. If there's nothing else from the committee, we can move forward. All right. So we have talked about 1819 Dallas Avenue in North College Hill. It was actually a citizen who brought it to my attention, concerned that there were some squatters there, and I think currently it's being boarded up or is boarded up. I wanted to know if you've had a chance to do a baseline assessment. And committee, I did provide you information from our auditor's website to kind of give you an idea of when we acquired the property and, you know, its current condition.
I highly doubt that there are squatters. The condition of the inside of the building would not yield anybody being able to safely exist inside of it. So the staff did go inside and they didn't feel that they could safely even get past the threshold of the door. The back window was open successfully. Public Works boarded that back door up. And there is a hole in the roof where there's some leaking. It definitely is not in the best condition on the inside of it. I highly, highly, highly doubt that there are squatters.
Okay, good to know. I can tell you that quite a few citizens anonymously, because I don't even know if they knew or what have you, anonymously spoke on it and said they have seen people there. Maybe not now, maybe in the time that we've owned the property. Either way, is there a way to ensure that there is no ability to even enter, God forbid, through the roof? Like there's no possible entrance into this home?
They already did secure to make sure that there was no entryway into the home.
Okay, good to know. And then we also briefly talked about the financials on the home. Is there a way too that we can ensure, since it is our property, that we just maintain the exterior as much as possible? I don't know if there's overgrown grass, weeds, what have you, and not looking to make it beautiful because it is what I believe to be an eyesore. But if there's a way that we can maintain it as best as possible, not to beautify it, but to at least allow the owners to the left and the right to not have their properties devalued because of that property.
Yes, so both code enforcement and Public Works are going to keep an eye out on all of our properties just to make sure that the grass is kept up and cut. I rode past it myself. I wouldn't say that it's an eyesore. It's definitely, you can tell that it's vacant.
Okay.
And that just isn't pleasant in any, sitting in between two homes that are occupied. The outside looks much better than the inside, I'll say that.
Okay, fair enough. Committee? Any discussion on 1819 Dallas?
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I would not be opposed to turning this request into the Planning Commission and see if they had any suggestions for what we do with that property. And maybe their recommendation would even be that we deed it over to the CIC and the CIC does something with it. Or we check with the port to see if they want to raise the, I mean, it's a 1-bedroom. It's a pretty small building. Looks like no garage. If it's in rough shape, like, what are we doing with it? So
Madam Chair.
maybe we just deed it over to the CIC, they raise it and figure out what to do with the lot. I don't know.
Ms. Stokestein?
So I also have the responsibility of sitting on CIC and Planning Commission. And I can tell you that they don't want any more buildings because they would have to, if they assume titleship to or deed for this, they then have to do all the same things that the city is doing to keep it up. And they are being depleted with the existing 11 or 13 that they have themselves. What I did do is I started looking into the Port Authority to see what dollars that could support doing something with this. I don't have a opposition, not that you're asking me, but to turn it over to Planning Commission. The Planning Commission, but turning it over to the Planning Commission impedes some of the dollars that come through the Port Authority. So I would say now that this has come on my radar, allow me to do the research to see what the Port Authority can apply here, and we can keep it on the rolling agenda so that we can continue to talk about it, just to make sure that it's staying moving forward and progressive, and it's just not becoming a stagnant situation.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Orr?
So with regards to the Planning Commission, they're not an entity that we could turn the building over to them. I was
No,
just
the
looking for,
recommendations,
yeah, I was just looking for ideas. Maybe they have some other housing idea. I don't know. I was just looking for suggestions more than just us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
I would
kind of their
agree.
wheelhouse.
I would agree. We've had it for 10 years, and I don't know how long it's been vacant, but
The whole 10 years.
the whole 10 years has been vacant. So the market's, it's been a seller's market for an extended period of time. So I don't know, but we are here now. And so I believe that the neighbors who live on this street would love for the city to take action on this property in some way, shape, or form. I don't agree that the CIC and planning would not be open, or rather, I should say, I agree that the CIC and planning could potentially be open with ideas.
I sit
Not
on that
necessarily.
committee.
I'm sorry, one more
I
time.
sit on those commissions.
Yeah, but it might be another person who would say, you know what, I didn't think about that before, and maybe I'm thinking about it now. And I don't think it would do any harm or hurt to just revisit the topic to see. Again, it's just an option or opportunity to do something better than nothing, right? It's not necessarily saying that we're going to adopt their recommendation. It's just simply say, let's explore other options and opportunities to, again, help beautify North College Hill and help the homeowners on this street allow their property values to go up, because right now it's plummeting.
Are you saying that our property values in North College Hill are plummeting?
Because if the home on your street is not being taken care of, no one wants to move on this street, buy this house, because it looks horrible.
Property values themselves are determined on the last sale of the properties around it. So this property and the value of it would not be determined. That's a myth amongst individuals to believe that if there's a blighted property on there, it would have to be the assessment and that sale. So actually what would cause the sale or the property values to go down is if we sold this at a minimum, as opposed to doing something to fix it up and selling it at a value that's represented by all the homes on the street.
Sure. And I think that we can agree to disagree. I'm excited if I can put a small plug. The Greatest Cincinnati Realtors Association is going to be in North College Hill tomorrow if you want to come out. So, but yeah, I think again, that's not the space that I live in, right? I'm not a realtor or a realtist. I've never had that interest. And so I would just maybe, if there is someone, maybe we can make the first step to get the building appraised. Let's see what the value is. Let's see, because when you evaluate a building, you don't just look at its current condition, you look at the potential. And you look at the land as well. So is that an option that we can have $18, $19 appraised?
Yes, and we can have it appraised. I'll follow up with that. What I can tell you is I do have a real estate background, so I'm not speaking from something that I'm unaware of. I'm saying to you that if you would have to have some plans like we did for 1500 to remediate this building in order to get or obtain an appraisal that is with the plans to change it. So,
Sure.
and I mean, if you just do a Hamilton County search, you'll see that the property values are based upon the last sale of the homes around it. This isn't evaluated in that because it was gifted to the city.
Sure, sure. I think that the bigger picture is that the homeowners on this street don't like the way that it is. And
I
they're
can
kind of
definitely
looking at the
agree.
city to say, North College Hill, why are you all doing this? For 10 years. So no matter how we received it, we own it now, and we have the due diligence to make it look beautiful in whatever capacity. And so if you can potentially by our next committee meeting in May, get the appraisal done, that will allow us, yes? Yes. Okay, great. That'll give us some idea of what way we want to go. All right. Committee, is there any old business?
No, ma'am.
All right. Committee, is there any new business?
I do not.
Okay. I always wanted Mayor Nichols, Ms. Dukesteen, you have any older new business? Great. Okay, good. Well, with 2 minutes left, I am going to adjourn the Public Safety Committee. Thank you.